Good morning and welcome back to an episode on the Coin King channel. I'm your host, Down the Crypto TA. Just getting a little pullback. Oh, I'm actually not even plugged in. Sorry about that. All right. So, what we were looking at going into the weekend was a little bit of the bear flag in here that I mentioned to you. Uh, we initially had it drawn between this peak and this peak right here, and we saw that we got a reclaim back inside of the range. And I mentioned to you, probably want to draw your line out to capture this point right here. And I mean, that's basically all we're seeing. Just a little correction from the bear flag. I was just taking a look at CME, which seems to be just fine. So you're somewhere within an old gap, holding that as support in here as I looked at CME. Let's take a look at that real quick. So this was a gap here from last weekend. So price is just pretty much holding here around support. Get rid of some stuff in here. So far, it just looks corrective. Um, just looking at where we might also get, kind of hang around at this week is probably going to be somewhere between 100,000 all the way down here to 80,000. It's probably going to be a hangout zone this week. And we do have a little bit of data coming out this morning. So we will have ISM manufacturing and ISM manufacturing prices, so PMI and prices. And we also have Jerome Powell will be speaking today, but that's going to be later in today at 8 p.m. So just a few things this morning, nothing major. I don't expect too much on volatility. So right now, this just looks like a healthy little correction following the little bear flag in here, and that's it. I did put out a tweet, and of course, we talked about the resistance point in here. This was back on Friday. We talked about the fact that Bitcoin price was hitting resistance, coming back to the broadening or the megaphone formation, just a lower in there. I put out a tweet. Just kind of going over some of the things from here I'm seeing on the macro side here for Bitcoin, and just addressing where I think that price, ultimately would officially come back to, and I'm looking at it holding somewhere above that 50K, so just back into here. And I was talking about how typically Bitcoin's price would come back down here to the 786 in between here, either bounce from the 786 or somewhere in between the 786 and the 0.886. I did a whole video on this about a year. I don't know if it's been a year now or not. It's been quite a while now since I did that video on this about Bitcoin. And what's also within here that Bitcoin also does is the standard deviation one or bandwidth one. Bitcoin price typically rolls over standard deviation one. Let me just take that away if I can explain this. So Bitcoin's price action would typically roll over standard deviation one in a bear market and then reclaim back above it. You can see it does it again right here, crosses over it, and that's where the 786 and the 0.886 come in hand too. So it'll cross below bandwidth one, never interacts with VWAP, never, but it will cross standard deviation one and then reclaim back into it. Cross standard deviation one and reclaim back into it. Cross standard deviation one and reclaim back into it. So it repeatedly does that, but I don't think this time we actually see ourselves down here across the standard deviation one. It's still worth looking at. just because that's what price action has done historically. Cross below here and move into the 786 golden 786.886. So platinum pocket retracement is what it typically does. I just see it probably pausing out in here though. Just looking at the RSI, and I made a little joke about it that if Bitcoin does this again, like if it repeats this right here, um, then the little flashy rainbow chart that everybody likes to post, a little rainbow chart. I've never liked that rainbow chart. That rainbow chart just looks like a rounding top formation. That's bearish. It's slow. It's slow, so nobody really pays attention to it. But that's usually a fail signal like that. You hear people call Bitcoin a Ponzi. Ooh, the worst, something we've never seen before. Like the worst crash in history must be coming forward if it's doing that, or if it's coming back down into here this time. You see, our RSI is already at 52. So imagine what our RSI is going to look like once price pushes down into here. So it's going to be extremely weak already, just coming down into this point. And I talked about how every cycle, the RSI drops lower, 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 lower. We're just above 50 right now. By the time we come down into that golden pocket around that 50K level, we could already be in here. Already be in extreme weakness. So to do anything more than that, to come down as deep as that platinum pocket, yeah, that's going to be a new move for Bitcoin. It never comes into 40, or at least it hasn't so far. It hasn't come into 40, but it's been inching its way down here. So for an asset we're saying that has all of this strong adoption, everybody's buying Bitcoin, you wouldn't expect to see it go into relative weakness. You just wouldn't expect that for it. If everybody is all as hyped as we say that they are about it, you wouldn't expect for that to be the case. But that was just something I was looking at. I also mentioned the fact that the MACD's never put in any sort of bearish divergence. We've gotten it on the RSI, which is normalizing. We've gotten it on the RSI, but we don't get it on the MACD. So that's a plus. Just it shows that each occasion has just been a healthy correction, but this time will be something different. It'll look the same, but it will actually be something different if we're coming back down into here. So something for you to look out for in the event. Let's see if there was anything else in here. Nope. I think that pretty much summed it up. Plus also too, I was just saying that the indicator that I use that has been very helpful in identifying where the low is, again, it's in here. So if we're doing anything more than that, then we are really in a tough place for Bitcoin. And we would have to expect that we get some sort of an expansion. I also highlighted that we got like a less than 10% expansion this last time here on this drop down. You shouldn't see it indent to the low part here, but we did, and that's because we expanded ever so slightly, just a little bit, right here. You can see there's like a 9 points or so, but it's less than 10% indentation, which is fine. We just wanted to, shouldn't be taken out this low. Should not. No. And again, I often go through and show that you never, yeah, it usually pauses out in here. So if it's coming down here, then this is totally different. Totally different. We'll look the same, but it's going to be totally different. I spell nothing good for Bitcoin if we're seeing that. All right. It is the first of the month. The first of the month. We're holding right now, guys. So, I mean, if we're breaking, we're always going to have the golden pocket to look back at. Um, but then we might also catch that, that um, first drop below. What is this? 74, 74.41. I was looking at what I was looking at in here when I determined where I think we're more likely to range at here this week. I was just looking at the volume throughout here, and these are the points where we have the highest volume at 100, 95, 85, and 80. Those are the highest spikes of volume here for Bitcoin. I'm so sorry I left. I completely left the chart over there on the calendar. But the 100, the 95, the 85, and the 80, I'm going to walk it back. I am so sorry. I did not mean to leave you on the calendar. Um, and I basically just showed you what I was looking at from the post that I did, which again is where Bitcoin would typically come back to, and the relationship it has with bandwidth one, where price would roll over bandwidth one and then come back up every cycle. It'll roll below it and come back up. Roll below that one and come back up. Same in here, roll below it and come back up without interacting with VWAP, as it's never interacted with VWAP. And the other thing that I was showing you in here was the RSI, and just how it gets lower and lower and lower every cycle as well. That's usually the low for breaking. The measure move forward has been so far to break below here. I don't know that we do that this time. I'm leaning on the idea that we don't do that unless, like I said, it's like one of the worst bear markets ever, one of the worst crashes about to happen or something like that, because it's never dropped. Yeah, it's never been in relative weakness, and it would definitely be in relative weakness if we do see that. And again, MACD looks great. MACD just identifies everything as a healthy correction, not some sort of a reversal. No bearish divergence prints on the MACD. RSI is already around 50. So just imagine what it's already going to look like once it comes down into here. I've always believed that 50,000 was fair value for Bitcoin anyway. That's always been my opinion, that somewhere around 50K has been fair value. But holding our upsloping trend line at the moment, we do break back in. I'm trying to see. I'm thinking that we'll stay pinned between $80,000 to $100,000. If not, then we still have the golden pocket in here and the potential of finally breaking below this low right here. But right now, everything looks okay. This is going to be the point also where we're going to lose the 200 EMA on the weekly time frame. So just be aware of that. Hopefully we're going to continue to hold up like we did over here. So I shared that post also. I shared how we actually failed the first one. This was the one that I was looking at for, about, I don't know, maybe six to 8 weeks with you guys as a place that price action was likely going to come back to. And once we finally did get down here to it, we absolutely failed this one right here. So I'm looking for us to come back up and at least reject off of that one like we did in here. So looking for us to kind of hold this for now. And if we fail, like I said, we taking out, potentially taking out this low one here and below the 200 EMA. Won't be pretty. Won't be pretty for the altcoins at least. Let's draw a fib on this for now. Take that one out. Have a sip of my coffee. Hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. Didn't spend all your money on Black Friday sales. Which, if you didn't notice, Black Friday sales are everyday sales now. They're not special sales anymore. So if you were out shopping, you got bamboozled. Let's tell you that. All right, let me take a look at Ethereum. All right, so potentially just coming back here to where we were before, maybe 27.71 here. We talked about that, where we, that being a potential rejection point. Now we're coming back down into here for not holding in here. I instantly dropped my eyes to 24 to 22 down here. On this side of things, I did also put out a post on Ethereum as well. And I updated some notes in here on Ethereum also. And I was just looking at the fact that the past at least the past two large moves have really come from the 786 retracement and not the golden pocket retracement. But we're here and we're holding here, where all the confluence that was in here, the point of control, the 200 EMA, the golden pocket. But the big swings have typically taken place from around the 786, which is the level that we were looking at anyway here. Where you have like this support zone in here for Ethereum. And also there's going to be VWAP. And I noticed that price action was retracing back into VWAP. So I will put that on my charts. And this is your this is just macro. This is just everything starting from the beginning of what I could get off of Coinbase. That's what this is. So that's how this VWAP is dropped in here. So just the relationship between VWAP and the relationship between the 786 retracement. And this is the index chart, so it gives you just a little bit more data, and then you can see how it comes back into the 786, and that's where you get your biggest moves from. 786 and VWAP, 786 and VWAP, right here. Nice big swing there. You see this one right here, nice big swing there. This was the one time that it did lose it, right here, back in 2018. It did. It lost the 786 there, but the 1, 2, 3 last three times, big swings came from that 786. You tapped golden pocket. You gotta bounce away from the golden pocket, like we're reacting to it right now. But ultimately, you succumb. Ethereum succumbs to the 786, potentially VWAP, before it bounces back up. We'll see if that's going to remain the same, or if that's going to be something different this go round too for Ethereum. I would put it down here. This is what we were already watching on Friday was this here. Little bear flag, because everything had a little bear flag on it. And at this point, right about the golden pocket. So healthy right now. Solana did put a little bit of a head and shoulder formation in here. I measured it out. It does have the measured move will bring it down just a slight bit more. But here for Solana, I would kind of watch that 119.20 here on Sol. Let's go ahead and do the same thing we did before here. I think I draw this out on another chart. So 786 at the moment. In terms of that measured move, which doesn't really have to fulfill it. It will bring it down a little bit more in here. And that's about 124. So what I decided was I would look at this and see if there was some sort of a back test into this. If it does, look to fulfill the rest of that. A little bit of a head and shoulder formation there. Looking for a bounce off of this connection point here. You're still in your bear market. Bear market territory lows, bear market lows in here. And also don't forget, just again, turn. For a sec here. No updated notes on Solana. We know that we're at a place where we really want to see Solana price action hold. And if we start to falter below this point right here, then like I said, again, the worst case scenario would be around in the 40s to 30s, $40 to $30 range for Sol. In the worst case, we'll be back down here. Let's see if okay, I think I may have looked at VWAP with this one, but it wasn't anything that just really stood out to me with it. And therefore, yeah, chosen not to utilize it. I'm gonna slap it on here anyway, but everything is still the same. You're at your value area low here. You're at 786, and you're at your ascending trend line. You're in your bear market lows right now. So critical. I'm just gonna go from the low, the low, the low. And that's here. But I don't see anything that just really stands out to me with this VWAP. I just don't. I don't see anything that stands out to me with it. Um, Nothing, nothing, nothing. And even if I take this and I do it like this, nope, nothing stands out to me. Even if I'm just looking at it from a 1 year perspective, I didn't really see anything that stood out to me. I did see this right here when I looked at it, but um, we could already do that with the 200. So just sideways. I mean, that's all that reads anyways. Just the price action is sideways. You're at the strongest lows in here. Again, value area low at the strongest lows in here. And if it's not holding, that's still possible. I hate to talk about it, but it's, I'm going to talk about it because it has to be talked about and that is still possible. Zcash, all right. You know, still haven't seen anybody else. Like we have been looking at the fact that Zcash was riding in between or moving in between an ascending broadening top. I expressed the volatility range that it had. We have been watching it since before it made this top right here, and waiting for the opportunity to, just waiting for it to break the low of it. Finally did it last week. Some things that I was looking at, the volume over price didn't make a difference. I did, I updated, I did an updated message on this one. The only thing really was just me adding VWAP in here and just stating some confluence through here. The confluence with the 786, the this area in here, which was the first place I thought that Zcash was gonna pause that against Bitcoin, and it did very briefly, but it ended up breaking through here and continuing up much higher than I thought that it was going to do. So this area right here is really interesting to me. And like I said, you have the 786 in here with it as well. What did I put in here? Yeah, you have a cluster of volume in here too. Volume over price as opposed to the volume over time, which would have been the volume bars that go along the bottom side of your chart, and not the ones that run horizontal. golden pocket, it just completely moved straight through that, which is uncommon for it because it does typically respect the golden pocket. So I thought that maybe, perhaps, just perhaps, some sort of reaction might have happened in here, but it didn't get any sort of reaction whatsoever. Um, Not even in regards to this price level in here either. I did, like I said, I put in here that price would tend to retrace back to the deviation, and that's something that I kept stating, that when you deviate, you return. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You return. You're not going to stay outside of. You're not going to have that. You're not going to have that deviation for a long time. You're going to return back in, and it just happened to be a harsh one because all of this right here. I don't know if it was, if it's been retail or if it's been some institutional buying. I don't think that it's being utilized that way, that, any of this made sense. But you would come back in. You also have the standard deviation that I'm talking about is sitting in here too. So that standard deviation that I am referring to, let me just move this down here so I can see it. Is this one right here? So you would return into this. Once that happens and Zcash gets another push back up, it could be the final push up for it before, any sort of bigger correction takes place. I expect for price to come back inside of this. So I do look to this 786. I cannot say that this happens before the next leg up, or if we get the push up first and then come back down and fall inside of it, because that could be the case too. Return. Excuse me. You can see this expansion, that squeeze breakdown. Right here. And the 15 minute, I had a squeeze on it. I did see that. And it's holding above, and it's probably trying to break out of that right now, which is why you see this little green buzz in here too, this discrepancy, to push it back here towards probably about that 374. But you can see the squeeze that's in here, and if it gets to pop, a little low range of volatility. We'll see if it does want to break out to the upside here. Like I said, it could cap out on that. Might be better to look at it from. Let me see which one looks better. Yeah, 374 could do that. If it starts to walk sideways in the bands, then there's a higher likelihood that it'll come back up into at least the 20 SMA. But it first has to break outside of that SD1 on that 15-minute time frame. Otherwise, we could just range inside of that for a minute, and that'll be it until market opens. But no sense in fading this right now, especially when you're outside of standard deviation too. There's no sense in really fading it. I did jump into a long position. I actually tried it a few times right in here. I kept my stops really, really tight as we were in here. Yeah, because I'm not really sure. Weekly. You can see how long it stayed outside of that. So like I said, you're gonna come back in, and we haven't even done it yet. We're just starting to get there on this monthly time frame. You're always gonna come back in whenever you see price action outside of two. At some point, it's gonna come back in. Once that happens, you can see how this is right here. This low is starting to turn. These will start to curve. Momentum won't be the same. You can do that if you don't have, you're probably not going to look like mine's, but you can follow along with that on Zcash and look for a breakup. You don't have to try to catch the bottom. Wait for some sort of structural change. Speaking of structure, yeah, that's been. We already saw it on the lower time frames, but yeah, let's see it here now. It's a clean reversal. Clean reversal. Be looking for a lower high. Like I said, you get that one more push back up. For the sake of the RSI, you get that one more push back up. Um, let's do it here. Yeah, you get another push up because this right here will just print some sort of a bullish divergence. So another push back up, put in a bear deal because you're likely gonna fail to come as high as you did before over here. See all of this right here? See all of this right here? You see this right here? It was from this point here that I could have sworn this is where I capped Zcash out at, which would be the area of support that I'm looking for price to come back into, which is also where that 786 is located at, right here at these highs. This is the point right here where Zcash hit resistance against Bitcoin. So Zcash against Bitcoin pair hit resistance here. We got that one little push down, but I didn't expect for it to come in and do all of this. I didn't expect any of that. So. You can see that cloud cover. Most of the time, it'll stop it out, but sometimes, take a look at Zcash versus Bitcoin just to see. Drawings at. Oh, that's right. The last time we looked at it, that was what I had put in there because I didn't add these additional markers in here for it. That was the resistance against Bitcoin right there. And then I had to add some extra points in here. And then I looked at this here as a place that price would potentially come back to. It was based on the daily. And then there was also the fact that this wasn't making sense. What is 200 EMA is at? Anyway, all this is in hindsight at this point. Yeah, Zcash. Looking to get some sort of a push expansion on the Bollinger on the 15-minute time frame, but I wouldn't expect too much from it right now because it is trading outside of standard deviation to the downside, which means that it's a strong sell-off, one that should not be faded. Again, I would also look for price to come down into here. You have a little cluster of volume in here. Your VWAP is here also, which is 786, and then your return from Euphoria on that monthly time frame is here as well. So just a few things to look out for in here. I think I did flirt with the idea of the double top, but I don't believe. Well, it doesn't matter what I believe anyway. It's not about my belief system, because then I'd be trading on emotions. But that would be the measured move. If this was a double top and you're looking for a measured move to play out, it would be back down here. This would be towards the 20 SMA on the monthly time frame, which is at 79 right now. That's what price would come back to here. If this is a double top formation and the measured move is looking to play out, that would be where price would come back into for Zcash. I think I had also looked at that with drawing out. I'm going to skip the wick outside of it and just do the range right here. From top to bottom. So you can see that is typically how you would measure that out. Top to bottom there. So everything points down here. I'm not saying that this happens. I'm just saying that there a lot of stuff is confluence down in here. Right now, I'm only looking towards this VWAP in this 786 and this little bit of volume that's across here, and it finding support somewhere between here, somewhere within here, or reclaiming back above the golden pocket. I'm really not looking down here, but now you have the knowledge, just in case you start to see it roll over worse, then that would be it. That would be the calculation. Just take this and hide that. What did I hide? Trying to see what I hit. And that's VWAP. It's going to look different depending on what time frame I move to. But that's what that is right there, the blue line. It's VWAP, how it appears on the 15-minute time frame as opposed to the daily. Fix right now. It's going to be a slow day, slow, boring day. I'm just going to push through and then I'm going to call it a day. Um, So it looks like Bitcoin dominance is still holding up in here, not breaking lower, still holding up. So it remains a threat until I see it. Until I see it outside of this, it remains a threat in my mind. So on the higher time frame, for me, it's just not breaking down. For me, it's not. I'll put this back. So that's an absolute fail right there. And it just came back into the trend line too. So I'm going to delete this because that didn't work. That did not get a break above here and into this next level. Can still just sweep in here. It can. And if it doesn't, then I'll be looking back in here at 1.08 to 1.01 trillion for total, excluding BTC. We do still have get rid of that. Yeah, we want to see it break outside of this trend line right here. If we can hold in here, you could have like an inverse head and shoulder in here. And then we'd be looking for a market structure change in here for this daily time frame. But right now, it's just a rejection from my trend line. And I would look down in here. And we held the support in here. Let me stretch these out a little bit now. We already fulfilled this. I'm going to just go ahead and delete it. It's a pretty perfect tap right there. Perfection. Like I said, you don't have a violation in here. You're still riding up above this. Knew that it could either come back, to the support, to this level and hold it as support, to this the descending trend line here from the wedge structure that it was in here, and then of course the ascending trend line. Nice hold so far. Let me see something. No. I guess if we're lucky, it'll stop right here at the low here, and that's 6.492%, and stop at the low here and not make another high. So hopefully this is what we get. And that's just Solana versus Ethereum in here. It's basically going to look the same for Solana versus Bitcoin too. Performance is going to be terrible once it does break down below here. I was looking for it to break out or break above. Let me hide that. To break back above here, but you see it rejected there instead. So I said Solana could get bad. It could. It could. Rejection there on Zcash too, just so you know. Alright, I'm gonna move forward just a little bit. It's going through here. NVIDIA, once market opens, this is the range I'm looking at for today, somewhere between 187 to 167. I actually, because it's so early, I can't really give you too much data right now because it's not going to update until pretty much when market opens. But I can say that this is where I expect for price action to move in between for today, somewhere between 187 all the way down here to 167 is what I'll be watching for on NVIDIA. I was watching, I was using this trend line here and omitting this section right here. But we did get we had a little bit of a rejection there and then a break above that before falling back into it. So I'm probably going to have to change how I have this line in here. It's probably no bueno. Let me just get rid of it. Yeah, I'll just get rid of it altogether. This is going to update today. If for some reason I had to modify this, I would look towards 160. If I had to modify what I believe would be a range for today, um, I would probably watch 160 here for NVIDIA. Let's see. You saw what the VIX was looking like, holding support there on the VIX. Tesla, a little minor breakdown below this trend line in here. I have to update some of the stuff in here. Take that away. I know that somewhere around 4:30 was supposed to be like some pretty good resistance in here for Tesla. How that shapes up going forward for this week, I don't have any additional data in here on that. Just looking at the technicals, I'm still looking for prices to come down into here, which would again still take some time for something like that to play out here on Tesla. In the meantime, there was a ton of call orders, inflow, call money coming in on Tesla. Looking for it to go a bit higher. May have all just been news driven. And you're still within the range as long as you're holding above this 391, which this could update just ever so slightly today, and of course the ascending trend line that's in here as well for Tesla until broken. You know, this isn't on the table until we start to break below it anyway. Circle had a little bit of an inverse head and shoulder. It didn't quite play out this measured move completely in here, and I expected for it to have some resistance through here anyway. It wasn't just these lows in here that it was capturing. It was also if you do it like this, it was that as well. So you got the lows in here, and you had the from the line chart bias, the body, yeah, made for some pretty good resistance right here for it. So it didn't quite make its way up here towards the measured move for. I considered it to be a head and shoulder, but you can see that that's exactly what price came back to for the time being, holding the support here on Circle. And last thing I shared with you on Friday, but the market was closing at 1 o'clock, was that there were some call orders. Some money had came in. Some pretty decent money came in. Some call orders on Circle, and oof, and that was where we bounced from. I'm gonna hide that because I don't want you to think that that's what you need to be looking at. So right now, holding on the back test of this breakout area right here, If it fails that, then maybe we can come back down here and back test this trend line here from the breakout from the descending broadening formation here. Right now, I do think that it has the potential to push up into this trend line right here. Market is a little fragile right now. It is a little fragile. If we hold, I'll be looking towards that. If we don't, then I'm gonna have to reduce the move I think that circle could get. But right now, you are holding on that back test there. Netflix looks the same from where we last looked at it. With the bounce off of this trend line right here, it did manage to push back into this channel here, flag or whatever you want to call it. Let's look and see if that's going to be a overshoot here. If it's not an overshoot, then I'm looking for this to break down. We lose this 105 in here, and we come down here to the next level in here, which is going to be around 90 something bucks here for Netflix. And the new prices are based on their split, you know. But that is what I would be looking for on Netflix. And look in here. That's very, 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 very choppy because it's consolidation. So MACD looks healthy. Delta looks healthy. But again, if you lose the support that's in here, then I would look for an expansion to push price down here towards this line. All right. Give me just... Gold, looking good. Looking good. And again, it is still within the range, even though we're seeing the breakout from the symmetrical triangle in here. It's still within the range, so you want to see it actually break through the range here at 43.81. Next, as it is showing strength, that's the next continuation signal is going to be breaking outside of this range in here. And then, of course, the target up here at 48.76 to the upside. Any sort of a failure, and I would be looking for it to come back down into here. But for now, this looks pretty good. I was also looking at it from the 4-hour perspective with the horizontal zone through there. But so far, this looks pretty good. And of course, the target to the downside here, if for some reason this was to fail and roll over, matches with something that I was looking at on the chart with you down here. Right now, it looks fine. As before, when I was pointing out the fact that we were still holding this line in here, and that was before we discovered this one, which was, I guess it was that Monday or something like that. And then we realized it was potentially a triangle. Okay. This is still about a month out, at least from how I'm seeing it. It's still about a month out before I get something like this right here that I'm looking for on Amazon. And it all depends on this too. And like I said, this could move ever so slightly if it has to be moved. We're basically in the same place. I'm going to take this away. These are things I'm going to have to come back and update on X. Initially, I was looking for some sort of resistance there. We're getting a little bit of resistance right in here, but nonetheless, we are holding within this confined range right now between 258 and 213. Um, we reclaim back above the trend line here after sniffing around VWAP. We reclaim back up. So until we actually lose this trend line in here again, you know, like I said, this would be about a month out now before this right here would happen, which is what I'm ultimately looking at, somewhere back down here around this trend line here, this one for Amazon. Google, like I said to you on Friday when I talked to you about Google, was just the fact that there was, when I looked at it on Thursday, actually, when I looked at it on Thursday, there were just a ton of short sellers on Google. Ton. It was nothing but short sellers. When I looked at it Thursday afternoon, that was after hours, and then Friday when we came on stream, I let you know that there was heavy put calls on it. You can see right there, high puts. That was the note that was on here when I streamed it on Friday. Um, yeah, and right now that's still the same for now. This was updated. This was coming from the daily. This is going to change again, so don't get stuck on this idea of this. It changes day to day. Um, it's likely just a good buy for Google. Likely just a good buy for it. It had this little squeeze here when it closed on Friday. It had this little squeeze in here, and that little squeeze broke down. But yeah, I saw the support. Potentially holding in here. I think it was from looking at the Bollinger. It gives confluence to the squeeze that's taking place in here, or the lack of volatility through here right now. A little slow, another volatility in here. So you can either just draw the little wedgie structure in here, or use your Bollinger on it. Either way it goes, it's a triangular formation. You'd be looking for a break to the upside or to the downside. You have neither one right now. But like I said, you do have heavy short interest right now on Google, which would likely just be a buying opportunity. If it did break to the downside, I will be looking somewhere at the moment, somewhere around at 307, potentially back here into this trend line here. If it breaks to the upside, you could potentially get some sort of a false move up. But if not, my target remains the same at 335. And I know that there will be some higher calls, but right now I'm still stuck on 335. To the upside. But again, to the downside, about 307, or potentially back here into this ascending trend line here. This is what I was watching in here on gold from the 4 hour because I watch it on two charts. I watch it for the daily and I watch it on the 4 hour time frame. And we were stalling out here for just a brief little second in there, but this looks fine. Everything about this looks okay to me. The only thing that I question is the monthly time frame. Everything else, the 2 day look good. The 6 day, the 8 hour, the 4 hour squeeze breakout that we're seeing on gold, all of that looks good. The only thing that I question is the monthly time frame for gold. Monthly time frame does look like a bigger correction is going to come in, which is why I'm saying the next best thing gold can do is have a break outside of that range, like with volume and not something where it's just going to sweep that top and roll over. The monthly does concern me a little bit with gold. I mean, this looks phenomenal. It's just your MACD, but it's the stuff that I'm looking at in here that tends to lead to prices falling over. This is the stuff that concerns me just a little bit. RSI still looks amazing, also. So whatever I'm seeing may just be temporary. Um, it hasn't played out yet either, but the monthly is definitely worth paying attention to. Everything looks petty when you zoom out. Absolutely petty. I'm just watching Zcash reject. Let's see. Let's see. No, never mind. Never mind that. Meta, probably just missed it if you. I mean, if you're not trading, I don't know how you would be doing it, but for my breakout here on Friday with the breakout from the symmetrical triangle in here, simply a back test in here. That's what we got this morning. Post. That's what we got, a back test of that, and that was holding. We did push above whatever resistance it was that I was also seeing in here outside of this right here. No, this is just a notation here, and what I thought that price would be ranging in between that Friday was 625 to up to possibly 660 for Meta. And so far, this still looks nice, at least until it rolls over beyond this. If it doesn't, then that was, you probably just missed this back test here on Meta. Um, this is what the triangle was coming in at right here. We're hitting a little bit of resistance in here against the EMA 60, I believe it was. No, 26. 26 EMA. Got above it, and now it's acting as a little bit of resistance again. But as you saw from that 4 hour time frame, it's a little back test in here right now. I have to absolutely fail and come back down. Uh, This hasn't confirmed yet what I was sharing with you here. Typically, be looking for this to curl down and drop back in here um, as it did before with the reversals. This one had a little bit of a bear div on it. And I look back over this for the entire year just to see how it was performing against that. MACD and Delta look fine in here. The market can open and it can come down, but like I said, the 660, 660 is something that I'm watching right now. Not bad. 660 is what I'm watching right now. And that would put it up here around the 200 and the 60 EMA in here. Some sort of potential barrier. But if it keeps going, it keeps going. Congratulations to anybody who got in on Meta. On Meta. Just waiting for that to confirm. I need to. So I reads pending. Pull this one out. Set it for Tuesday for now. Yep, 660. 660 will be coming back into this. To back test the momentum that pushed price down further. I know that it had bearish bull divs coming down through here. So to back test this right here, reason why I'm looking at 660 as well. To back test this, see how much strength this region actually had. Or if it still has it. Oracle, still holding. And like I said, with Oracle, this isn't a trade that I'm in. It's just a good amount of money went in on a put call here. Right now, they are out of the money for this 150. So strong possibility of price coming down here to 150, which why you see it like that. Technically, I am hoping that Oracle holds and gets a push up first and then comes down here and does this 160, 150, 150. It may not happen in that direction. I'm long on Oracle, spot long on Oracle, stop loss in place in case it does lose. 200 is a critical level for it. So, or a strong point of interest at 200 also. So hoping that we can manage to stay above 200. If we don't, I'll get stopped out on my Oracle spot long. I don't want to be in it and ride it down when I know that there's some decent amount of volume and money that went in for this 150. Do have the like I stated in here, there is some bullish divergence in here, or at least it was some bullish divergence in here on the 16-hour time frame that also showed the possibility for a flip in momentum, which is why I'm looking for that move up. This right here is just a measured move here for the channel. That's all that is. Measured move for the channel, and it just happened to align with something else, or almost align with something else I'm looking at in here. If we get that push up and out of here, otherwise I'm stopped out, and then I'll sit on my hands until we get down into here, 150. But I am definitely interested in Oracle. I think it's going to be a strong play this go round, so definitely not something that I would sleep on. I would not sleep on it. I'm just checking back on Bitcoin and Zcash as I'm talking, making sure we're okay there. Here. Let's see. What else was I looking at in here? Walmart. All right, so we're back up here towards the top side of the channel for Walmart. You know, if we do get a move down here on Walmart, I am looking back down here towards this trend line here as potential support. This trend line right here. If it rejects from here, if it gets the rejection from here, from this channel, this move is consolidation to the upside. It is has a strong bear dip on it. So we'll see if that blocks, if that holds. And why do I have this in here? Must be looking at it on a lower time frame. I'm gonna take it away though. If that holds for the rejection, and that's what I would be looking at here. Outside of that, Walmart looks pretty good. It looks freaking fantastic. Some unusual activity here, about 2 weeks out on here on this 99, but you can come back into this anytime. It could act as a magnet. So I'm also looking here. That's why I'm also looking here. Could act as a magnet. I probably would actually short that. But at resistance right now. See how it goes once market opens. What else was I looking at in here? Coin. Got the rejection around what we were looking at on Friday. It's really starting to look a little bit more bullish in my opinion, but ultimately I would like to pick up some more, and I wouldn't pick it up until probably if it gets back down here towards this trend line and back down here towards this VWAP in here. I would be interested in picking up some more right in here. We probably hover back and forth and through here this week, sniffing around this area in here where you have this resistance or these lows in here that may act as resistance, and this target in here for this 282 or this call order in here, which has some pretty good pretty good interest in here. At some point it would come back into here. I don't have a setup for this right now, other than to say maybe we come back down here and we can hold somewhere around this 253. I do need to update these in here again. Everything about this has changed, and I can't really do it until market opens, unfortunately. but I would really be interested in picking up some more coin if we could get a move back down here towards 171, which looks like it could do something like that. It wouldn't be today, in my opinion. It would take some time for something like that to happen. Um, right now, I don't feel a need to get bearish on it right now to the point where I see it down here immediately. So no sense of being bearish on it in this moment. So I'd be looking up instead. Uh, that little move probably back here into this point here as resistance or even the trend line in here. Let's just circle again and Tesla again. This is just what I'm watching this week. ABGO I haven't added to the chart yet, but ABGO is also one to watch. Robinhood, you can see I'm staying in between here, just looking at some of the most recent points of interest, like that 116 in here, that 141 in here, and then of course, like I said, the zone that's in here, which I will have to update this. Let me see. Yeah, I will have to update this right here. Once market opens, I can come back in and I can update this. So don't put too much bearing on this 102 and this 145, but I expect for us to stay within this range in here. If we do continue to get a push to the downside, I would start to look towards the 116. If we start to bounce, I would look up here towards this 141. Potentially here at that 141 right now. Can't really tell. Yep. So if we're holding through here on these EMAs right here, the low about 122. If we're holding in here, I would start to look up here towards this 141. Price is going to be attracted to both of these zones here. And I don't think that there was another one in here. Oh, this one right here. Um, this is looking pretty good. This one is looking pretty good. It hasn't even got the break out of here just yet. Any sort of a move up, I am looking somewhere around this low target in here, around 88.10. I think you can probably count on $70 as being hit, and high potential that 70 gets hit. And if it pushes past 70, I probably wouldn't go beyond 188.10 in here. I do have to update this again as well. Yep, I'm certainly going to have to update that again as well. VWAP in here, a VWAP hold or reclaim recovery in here. If it rejects in here, then I probably start to look back down here towards this trend line in here. But this looks like it's going to break out. This looks pretty good. I like it. I like it. All right. Let me look back over here. Zcash, just holding within this wall. It's low volatility wall in here. If you're losing this 361, then you probably is likely expanding to the downside here on Zcash. trail this up as my stop. I'm using that as my stop actually. Um, just trailing that. But we did reject. Let me take that one away. We did reject there. You can see that we're rejecting there. That's where your 20 SMA is at, right where that VWAP is coming through. Well, it actually rose up a little bit. Okay. Could actually just move my stop to break even. Instead, we really want to see it hold in here for the higher low, and then get a break to the upside in here. That's not happening, then it's going to continue that expansion down, and like I said, back down here towards 786, and somewhere in here would be the retracement. Likely, high chance, high probability. Bitcoin at the moment, it's not doing anything right now. Still holding above this golden pocket right here. Solana, same energy. Ethereum, same energy. So, nothing at the moment. Like I said, look to range in between $100 and $80 today. This is just, let me see. No, you know what? I just wanted to make sure what I was hitting at. So, yeah, we would want to hold that golden pocket for sure. That would be us back testing that ascending trend line. So we definitely want to hold here at this golden pocket. I mean, I don't see a reason why we would need to take liquidity over this trend line again. We want to hold here. And at worst, you know what? At worst, Oh, that's right. I set that for 120 because 120, a lot of stuff is getting hitting 120. So, yeah. Thank goodness I was back at that. Let's see. I can't even change it because I have it preset. Why did I do that? I don't know why I did that. I can't even change it. Okay. Hmm. I might have to go back and modify that. While I'm here, suppose I go ahead and take a look. Yeah, watch that trend line on Bitcoin with that golden pocket, and that trend line. Very important. Very important. Um, Bitcoin is wrecking everything. 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 Right now, you would just still be looking at that 192 to the downside here for XRP. No sort of reversal right now. Then to be had. To be had. Yeah. No sort of relief showing on the weekly just yet. Yeah, you be watching for that hold, that 192 to hold. You're not holding on the 192. You can already see you might get some sort of an expansion. I would start to look. I mean, 162 would be next, and then 134. But right now, as long as it continues to hold in here, then fine. Still looking for that break above this trend line right here for any sort of a breakout daily time frame. Yeah, definitely wanna hold. Definitely wanna hold. Not holding here, selling pressure is increasing, and you're more likely to come down here towards this 182 and potentially about 134 in here. Everything is still holding at this point, but any sort of continuation here on Crow, I would be looking down here towards this trend line in here, maybe even taking what's over this trend line in 7 cents. So nothing has really changed in here from before as we were looking at it. Let me see on the weekly. Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely, definitely. Yeah, possibly taking the liquidity over this little trend line right here. And like I said, about 7 right here. I mean, this stuff is all straight spot buys, guys. I would not be trying to leverage on any of this. Personally, I would not. All right, I still have to update update. Let me see if I need to update this one right here. Yeah, I'll have to update this one right here. I didn't do it today. But anyway, that is what we're holding at right now. Just previously where we were before. I will start to look at 98 to the downside. So I don't have to do that. This can get bad. This can get real bad. Yeah, if it's not holding here, yeah, it can get really bad. Mm, yeah, if you're not holding there, like I said, I would 98 would be the next level of support in here. 98. Nothing much has really changed. Doesn't hold 98. Then 67 doesn't hold 67. Then 25 cents. Like, I mean, really, 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 really. I think I might have. This one I had a different pattern in here for it, but I'm not seeing it. Anyway, this doesn't look good at all. At all. At all. We're far from any sort of resolution of a reversal. Yeah, nothing right now. Aside from the fact that the delta is trying to hold through here and at this level, so that's gone. That's it. 98. At best right now, maybe a move back up here into 202. Somewhere here, 194 to 202 would be the move back up for it over time. But right now, it doesn't look like it's given any sort of relief to this weekly time frame. Let me just delete that. We played that out already. I was just trying to see if it was going to get back inside, but it didn't. So yeah, support in here for BNB. Failure to hold in here, then you start to look down here at this one right here, about 265, about 265 as it stands right now, somewhere down in here. Two sixty six, 265, 665. Sorry. I don't guess that really matters. Not the lower line anyway, because I'm not going to make that right. Um, yeah, I guess that's pretty simple. If it's not holding here, then we will start to look down here, like I said, about 265, 267, 667, 665, somewhere down in here um, for BNB. If it's not holding. Just see how this was before. Yeah, probably will come down into here if it's not holding in here. Just look for that move down here. So somewhere around at 37 and back into our lower zone in here for ADA. Back into here right now. So short term 37, mid term probably about 31 right now. Still looking for a break above trend line. break above trend line, change of behavior or change of character, potentially one of the two take place in here above this 44. Yeah, that's 36. So fortunately, ADA is not looking the best. The best. Solid rejection. It's continuing to bleed out. Next stop. If you want to look for a bounce, that will be your next stop. Right in here. Maybe it overshoots it a little bit. I wouldn't even. Yeah, you're not gonna get enough to want to make a difference. But you have nice confluence with the trend line right here, being you have the 20 SMA that's running along with this descending trend line in here. So any break above this, and you would just start to look back in here at 53. That's probably not gonna happen today, but that's what it looks like at the moment. Be back down here. I have a liquid at best because it did take. I don't like. I really like that. Because put it on the 4 hour. I think that played out though. There's some sort of a little head and shoulder in here. Um, at best in here with this, you can look for an SFP off of this low in here. This really isn't any good anymore because it didn't manage to push up any higher. What was I basing this on? It wasn't that daily. Yeah, it was this daily. And it got the closure outside of it. So it's no good anymore. At best, maybe looking for an SFP in here off of this low. Just consolidating though. Best case scenario would be an SFP, some sort of a double bottom in here around this 29. Next case scenario would probably be just dropping back here into this trend line right here, looking for it to hold some sort of support right here. Then to the upside, I'm always looking for price to come back to back test trend lines as if they are moving averages. But to the downside, yeah, at best some sort of a double bottom formation or SFP right here. And if all fails, again, down here into this trend line right here forward. It doesn't look like it's about to. It doesn't look like it. But in the event, especially looking here at this daily time frame, if price does SFP and come back up, you would want to watch where your SD1 is located at. See, make sure you don't have a rejection from here, because if you reject from here, you could stay in it, could stay pinned in that zone for a little bit longer before you see any sort of breakout over here. Again, confluence with the trend line, with this trend line, just like everything else, just looking for a break above. And then that's when you'll start to look for a change of behavior, at least taking out this pivot here to the upside. So you look for something like that. Looking for something like that. Can come back in to wherever this is at. Reject again before getting a push up to do something like that. And give you an inverse head and shoulder. Wow, it's back already back within here. Right there's Zcash coming back down. 4 hours already basically ranging in between SD1 and SD2, just like over here. So it's kind of like what I'm looking at for something like that. Maybe come back up here again, back testing here after this 4 hour. And get another drop back in here. Maybe take that liquidity right here, double bottom, something like that before coming up. But it has room to breathe on a 4 hour time frame at least. Okay. Yeah, it has room to breathe, so that's good. Just the fact that it came up above this SD1 here on the 1 hour time frame does suggest that it could potentially push into that 31 there. And if it can actually break 31 that next time, or this time, that could be a little inverse head and shoulder that would take it back up into this region in here, back towards that descending trend line. You can get that here. And then, so let's just see, just in case it did. In case it did become something like that. It's not confirmed or anything right now, but where's my name? Right here. It's a small move. Not that. Turn that on. And don't have an actual breakout level just yet. Okay, so maybe SD1, maybe 32, maybe 32. So $2 move, $3 move, maybe 32 if that holds. This holds in here for the push up. I don't think I actually looked at anything on Astro. Okay, so that didn't work out the way it was intended to. It was still good enough, but it did not work out. Did not. did it? No. It didn't even tap into that weekly level right there at that 0.003, 003. Since it's already down here in it, I'll just leave it as that. Since it's already in it, I guess, yeah. Um, Look for a bounce somewhere around here, a break or reclaim back above this trend line. Look for a bounce off of it first. Maybe they take whatever liquidity is over the trend line, which doesn't look like it has a lot of liquidity over this trend line. But if it does, then I wouldn't just blindly buy the 786 because it could. I mean, unless you're just scalp trading or something like that, and then it gives you something more than what you're looking for at least. But you would want to see a reclaim in here versus coming back up, back testing it, and getting a rejection and continuing down because the N002 could be the next target down here. Yeah, that could end up being the next target. So I wouldn't just blindly buy. I wouldn't just blindly buy that. That's your best bet right in here, and look for it to come back up yeah, to about that 0028 right here. Look for that. Otherwise, you won't see a reclaim. I don't think that there was anything else in here. Either it's holding somewhere around the 76, not holding 76, then I just look down here at the 786 field retracement level here, 74. Um, Litecoin, of course, is still within the range, just a large range. 786, not holding 786, then this weekly level down here towards this trend line here at 69. Just look for something like that on Litecoin. And these ascending trend lines pair pretty well with where the weekly is here for Litecoin also. So 69 here. If something, I don't know what can happen today, but next worst thing would be coming back down and taking whatever liquidity was down here. And that'd be back down here towards 57 in here. 57. So 1, 2, 3 places to look at here on Litecoin to the downside. To the upside, change of behavior, probably right here. I mean, of course it would be if you got above that. It came back into this 60, this 20 SMA right here. Some sort of a change of behavior. Let's break above that pivot right there. I like this actually. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. Yeah. Nothing has changed in here for chain link. We know that we're looking for price action to be able to break above here, clean break above here with some volume. That's what we'll be looking for here on chain link. We don't have that right now. Just another rejection. A support level in here, which we will be looking for price to take liquidity over here. But this entire zone in here, with the exception of the low, we don't actually want to get down that low. Want to see chain link holding around 910. Want that to be our low. This is the bear market low identified, but you don't want to ever take out the actual low of that box right there. So 910. I'm spot buying into 910 for a squeeze, potential squeeze, and then a break back to the upside here on chain link. And hopefully that works out in my favor and it doesn't do the worst. It doesn't do the worst. And I think I actually stopped around chain link or H bar 1 to 2. Okay, so H bar, we're back outside the little range that we were trading within. A little range in here. Momentum shift down a little bit lower, so a trend line can be added across there because it is getting worse. And that's how you end up adding an extra trend line because it's getting worse. We got our bounce off of R12 that time, but if we're breaking below that, then I would start looking at 11 cents. That would be the next level in here. For H bar would be 11 cents to the downside here. I probably could just get rid of this zone right here. I'll hide it. But basically rejection off of that weekly right there. Like I said, come down here. If we dropping below here, which is probably like everything else between 786 and golden pocket. What did I just okay? Nothing. Yeah. Just like everything else, 786 golden pocket. But if it's losing there, like I said, I would look down here towards 11. Especially, if it's losing that, I start to look down here. Maybe we can double bottom. Maybe that will put us in on a low. Resistance in there. I think this week could be a little better week for more of a move up, where we actually would see us breaking above these first little pivots in here. I think this week would give us that. My stop is just underneath here in case the expansion is going to the downside. I mean, if I were really looking at it, I would say that it's broke already. I went for the most touches. It would be something like that, and it's already broken down. And we just get the continuation down into here. Instead of waiting on the Bollingers to give that sense of direction, that can be the case right now. Yeah, I would say it's broken. All right, it's faltering. I'm sorry. Bitcoin isn't really moving. This is gone. Yeah. Right now, we'll have to reclaim back above this trend line, and again, just a little bit faster price action over the BB, because I would assume that it's already broken down and we continue down here. The market absolutely sucks. I mean, in the short, the market sucks because some things would be worth buying. I wouldn't buy this for my spot bag. I just wouldn't. Let me close out the month. Oh Lord, this is how this closed out the month. Yeah. All right, that stopped me out. I said when you're outside like this, you can guarantee you're behind. You coming back in. And once you come back in, you roll up at the bottom. You likely to hit these. You likely to see your mean again, which is your 20 SMA. That this will move over the months, but you're likely to meet your maker right here. Oh, wow. Wow. Hmm. All right. There's really nothing to this right now. Know what we're looking for here on Bitcoin? We're looking for price to. I mean, I'm looking for price to pull back into this golden pocket in this trend line right here. If it doesn't, it doesn't. happy, great for Bitcoin if it holds here and it breaks back up here. Either way it goes, it would be a higher low. It would be a little higher low in here. Either way it goes. If it holds right here or if it comes back in here and it taps into this golden pocket and the trend line right here. I probably would, I want to see it come back into the golden pocket and back test the trend line in here before taking any sort of a long trade on it. I want to see that happen first and then potentially get the breakout and push up here above the 95. Some great volume there at 95, some great volume at 100,000. And we do have the good volume down through here too, which is the 85, which is in here with this golden pocket and the ascending trend line, and also down here at the 80,000. But we're not trying to do the 80,000 right now. We're trying to hold here for a higher low and then get a push up here on Bitcoin. So that's what I'm watching here for Bitcoin for today before market opens. That's what I'll be looking at. That's all I really have for you. Yeah, just looking to see if we can't hold here. If we're not holding here and we're taking out this low right here, then we're just continuing to the downside. And 85, 360, 85, 360 liquidity sitting down in here towards the 786. That's the long max paying distance is about $574 before reaching down into here. Doesn't mean that price comes down this low. I'm really looking forward to holding here, but just so you know, in terms of liquidation, your long max paying and what that reads. 85, 360. And every time you hit one of these, of course, this updates. But on Bitcoin, that's what you're looking at. See if we get it. See cash continuing with that breakdown. The entire market is rolling over right now, with the exception of gold. I mean, that's getting a little bit of a red candle right now, but the entire market is rolling over a little bit. It's the end of the year, people. You already know how it goes at the end of the year. Holiday. Two of the biggest holidays right now. Tax preparation. That's all I got for you. So with that said, I am going to call it a stream. Again, just what I'm watching for here on Bitcoin, as you know, it will dictate probably what the rest of the market is going to do. For you to hold in here. I mean, you can look at the 786, but really, I want to see it respect that trend line right there. I really do. It can be moved. At this point, I'm not going to move mine right now. I'm going to leave it like it is until I see an actual reason I would need to move it. But that's what I'm watching. This as an actual turn. Nope, I don't want to turn that one on either. Just see what that's at. 66,290. All right. Look like it could get some sort of bullish divergence down here into this golden pocket tap too. Potentially. Best of luck out there, guys. And see you tomorrow at 5 in the morning. Don't forget, we do have that data coming out at 10, and Fed Chair Powell speaks at 8 tonight. Um, let's see what sort of impact that has on the rest of the market as well. It would all be after hours for the stock market, but probably want to watch that as well. If anything relevant outside of what I'm saying right now shows up, I will send out some sort of a quick tweet on it, enough time for you to react. But right now, watching the golden pocket, watching that ascending trend line on that back test for the golden pocket. Like I said, you could possibly use the 786. I'm not interested in, 786. I'm really interested in the golden pocket bounce more than anything, and plus the that level in here with the 85 level. That's what I'm really more interested in. It's a little too close for comfort. All right. Thank you for joining me. See you tomorrow.